Thank you everybody for joining us this morning. Sorry for holding you up there. I just wanted to make sure everybody was in. So I am Dee. I'm head of growth at Submit.com. Again, thanks for joining this session. We are going to be talking today about reducing manual HR admin, speeding up recruitment, and finally moving away from heavy paper-based processes in your organization and council. Over the next 30 minutes or so, the goal is to give you practical, real-world insights that you can take back to your own HR and recruitment teams. So this webinar is designed, as I said earlier, for HR leaders, recruitment and talent teams, public sector managers who are dealing with high volumes of competitions, complex approvals, and increasing expectations from candidates and hiring managers. You'll hear how you can move to a more centralized digital system and how it can improve transparency, compliance, and decision-making across the board. So I am delighted to be joined by Dave Norberg from Cork City Council's HR team, who's been closely involved in transforming how the council manages end-to-end recruitment. Dave will share the kind of before and after story of moving from email and that paper-based workflow to a streamlined digital process using Submit.com. We'll look at what's worked, what was challenging, and what was the biggest difference on the ground for him. And then I am very grateful to have Sarah O'Neill. She's the head of customer success here at Submit.com. Some of you, I'm sure, will be already familiar with Sarah. She works directly with councils and public sector organisations implementing digital recruitment tools like Submit. Sarah will bring a broader view of best practices, lessons learned from other customers, and practical tips on how to roll out and embed a new platform successfully. And I suppose really what you can expect overall is a mix of a live discussion, practical examples, and time for your questions at the end. So please do share them into the little text box there. And we'll come to the Q&A session at the end where we can kind of dive in and maybe a bit more detail. So without further ado, if that's all right, Dave, if I can come to you first, can I ask you to paint a picture of what recruitment looked like maybe at Cork City Council before switching to Submit.com?
Yeah, sure. And I'm certain that a lot of councils will tell the same story or have similar examples. Everything was paper-based. And when I say paper-based, there was nothing digital involved. COVID, the onset of COVID brought on the need for digital applications, and that turned into PDF attachments, PDF application forms. We were receiving applications via email. Look, the challenges presented there, as everybody will understand, or the PDF is great for some things, less great for other things. It's very manual. So even trying to draft up or customize a PDF form for a certain need per vacancy, it's just so time consuming and labor intensive. Things like the text boxes. So for example, competency answers, candidates were reporting to us that they were having trouble actually getting the amount of text into the box, even though we had a word count on it, but it was just, there was things popping up like that, things getting lost in the post, emails not being picked up or being saved in the wrong place, and then candidates emailing us saying, did you get my application? I've seen that interviews have been called or whatever. Nightmare scenario. So yeah, that was the main thing, the sluggishness and the paper-based limitations, put it that way to you.
Yeah. And in terms of the candidates from their side then as well, I suppose that there's the frustration, as you said, that they can't as easy, I know what we can do now is obviously the uploading and the documentation. There's no more lost post or email threads perhaps. And the biggest difference, I suppose, from that you've heard back from the candidates?
The actual application experience, so filling in the form, we've got some good feedback on that, because it's a nice user interface. It's positive. It's not confusing. It's not over. They don't need to be overly involved. They can focus on what the important parts are, which are putting their information and showing us that they meet the requirements, rather than worrying about, did I click next there, or should I click save first, or what? It's quite easy to use as a candidate, and I've used it myself to apply for internal roles. So that was the main thing. the candidate experience from a user interface perspective really improved.
Yeah. And in terms of where you stand kind of on the ground, right? You're in managing these applications.
Yeah.
In terms of building the kind of use case and bringing it to senior management and other
hmm
departments, how receptive were they initially? And I suppose the fear is, first of all, taking on a piece of software.
Do you know what? It was kind of like the perfect storm because we were in a bit of flux in the department here at the time.
Yeah.
There was a change of management, a few more bums on seats moving around, etc., which always happens. It's
Yeah.
quite common in any council. Um, and we were behind it a little bit on the panels for clerical officer and firefighter, which are two of the biggest volume competitions. We received the largest number of largest quantity of applications for those, and we were short-staffed. Put it that way to you.
Yeah.
So we had to. It was more kind of we had no choice but to find a way of becoming more efficient,
Yes.
because it would have taken forever and a day to
Yeah.
get it advertised, to process the applications, and then move to interview on it. So um, management were very, very open
Yeah.
to anything that we suggested. And we did a bit of digging and we discovered that other departments in the council were already using Submit
Mm.
for accepting payments or paying fines or surveys or
Yeah.
different kind of input needed by the public, etc.
Yeah.
So the platform was already there. So we made a few calls, could we make an approach? We were able to bypass the procurement system, thankfully, because Submit were already a supplier.
Yeah.
And yeah, we spoke to Neil at the time, and he was very, very, in fairness, very quick off the mark as well to engage with us. And before we knew it, we had our own sort of side version of Submit.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, this is before the version 2 now. So this was
Yes.
really, really new. It was new for you guys as well, I think. Even though I think Kilkenny were using it to some extent at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Um, but we just took that and we said, okay,
Yeah.
let's build the momentum here and make it work for us. So look, there was a lot of meetings, there was a lot of phone calls back and forth. There was a lot of, could you put this in here or move that around or whatever? And at
Yes.
first,
Yeah.
Neil was very receptive, and we were able to generate our own application form template.
Yeah.
And I'll share one of these on the screen there later on in the call, just so people can have a visual
Thank
of
you.
what's involved.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it went from there really.
Yes.
So suddenly we were receiving applications, and you can see the applications coming in real time
Yeah.
on your screen. You can see how many are at draft. You can see how much of that draft is completed. So you get a percentage.
Mm.
And of course, you see your completed applications as well.
Yeah.
So in actual fact, you can have the hiring manager or the director or the SEO, whoever's involved, you can have them involved before the competition closes. Some of them
Yeah.
like to see the quality of the applications, the quantity, how's it
Yeah.
going? So you can just add them and they can see it progressing as you go. So
Yeah.
I think I'm digressing from
No, no,
your
no,
original
this
question
is
there now.
great. Yeah, yeah, I know. I think that and just going back a little bit, you
Mhm.
mentioned, look, the need was there and you needed
Yeah.
to act quickly, right?
Mhm.
How did you find the onboarding process and the training, the setup to start using? I mean, it's very different going from paper-based to using something
Yeah.
digital and online. How did you and your staff at the time deal with that kind of
Okay.
pressure?
I suppose there's two sides to that. I
Mm.
had a certain amount of previous experience in private recruitment where we were using different software systems and applicant tracking systems, etc. So I'd used a number of these type of platforms previously. So I was familiar with the functionality and their what the possibilities were, put it that way to you.
Mm. Yeah,
So for me, it was really an open book and a clean slate. Let's get this in. The I suppose the flip side to that is then you have and it always happens, the more tenured staff who would be used to doing things a certain way,
yeah,
or we always did it this way, and why are we changing it? It works, and etc. etc.
yes,
So I was trying to find a kind of a middle ground on that front, and all the time highlighting the help and the advantages that this was giving us. Yeah, it was brand new, and because you guys are learning as well and developing all the time, there's no kind of handbook. There's
yeah,
no instruction manual comes with it. It
yeah,
really is what happens if I click this, what happens if I implement that, or
yes,
turn on this
yeah,
checkbox, and then you do a test and then you see what happens. And
yeah,
some of it's good, some of it's less good, but
yeah,
it's really and this is why I was attracted to it as well. You get your teeth into it and you just
yeah.
you harness it for your own needs.
Yeah, because every council, even every HR department, is slightly different
Yeah.
workflow and
Hmm.
stages to the process,
Yeah.
and initial application, reviewing, interviewing,
Hmm.
different stages, as I said. So I suppose the main thing about the platform is very much kind of off the shelf, but it's incredibly flexible. So if
Yeah.
you needed to do this, there you go. And you've got the support team there. I know Sarah, I'll bring in now shortly, but Sarah and the team are there as well with the onboarding, the training, the setup. So it's unique to each user, actually.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's certainly something like today, we sit in a position where we can see what everybody is doing and how they're using it and what's working and maybe
Hmm.
what isn't. On paper would work fine, but on the platform, actually, let's do it this way and flip it on its
Yeah.
head. Because at the end of the day, it's the reporting, the reviewing, and the sharing that just, I mean, it's all in one centralized hub. And even the messaging. How do you go about communicating with applicants through the system right up to awarding or offering contracts and letters and such? You can do all that on the system as well.
You can. No, that's what something we're, I suppose, working on an ongoing basis here.
Yes.
We've across the team, we've different approaches to that,
Yeah.
as to how far away from Outlook we're moving, or how close to Submit we're becoming, to
Yes. Yeah.
phrase
You
it a
can
different
keep it.
way.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, but the bottom line is that the platform is there and it does allow for that. You can
Yeah.
message candidates directly, or you can message them as a group, um, kind of as a mail merge, but much easier.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you can pull in things like email addresses or first names, so you can personalize those messages as well, even in a group scenario.
Yeah.
So from something as simple as sending a reminder a week out from when the competition closes to the applicants that are currently at draft, to say, look, you're currently at draft, and they get a link in that email then as well that they can click and finish their application. So again, it's just making things easier, more efficient, and quicker,
Yeah. For
without
everybody.
dropping quality, or without risking
Yeah.
mistakes. In fact, it
Yeah.
minimizes the possibility of mistakes, because it takes a lot of the human error element
Yeah.
out of it. Now, you're never going to get rid of that altogether,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, a computer or a piece of software is only going to do what you key into it, what you tell it to
Exactly.
do. But
True.
um,
Very true.
generally, we've found that our margin of error has dramatically decreased,
Yeah.
over the last nearly 3 years now, or 2.5 years
Yeah.
since we started using Submit. So we were able to take those first two competitions, the clericals and the firefighters,
Yeah.
um, and sit down afterwards and kind of debrief what we learned from it, and
Yes.
then what we needed going forward. So how we needed Submit to kind of bring this on board, or change this, or
Yeah.
bring something else in that we were using previously, or whatever.
Yes.
And in fairness, you guys, and Neil in particular, were very open to that, which then led us to us getting our own version of Submit, for
Yes.
HR alone,
Yeah.
rather than piggybacking on the other
Exactly.
departments' versions.
Exactly. Very
So
different.
that's what we're using since,
Yeah.
which I think is that version 2 you guys call
Yes,
it?
version
Yeah,
two.
yeah.
Yeah. So I believe any of the councils that are, or any of the new clients certainly are going straight into version two. So for anyone who's not familiar, look, we're constantly evolving the
Mm,
platform, and something I know
mm,
Sarah will probably touch on now with the whole localization of languages, offering forms in English and Irish, Welsh,
yeah.
Scottish for our UK councils. So tell me today then, what does a typical recruitment now looks like, kind of end to end on the Submit platform?
On Submit. So yeah, it's pretty much involved for us, up until the competition closes.
Mm,
So until we stop accepting applications. Uh, Now, there is a further step after that, but yeah, look, I'll start from the beginning. That's the best thing to do in all these situations. So when we get our budget, we get our sanction. We then draft up an application form, which
yeah,
is unique and specific to the particular vacancy that we're applying for. Because some vacancies will
mm,
need a level 8, some vacancies will need a driving license, some
yeah,
vacancies will need 5, 10, whatever years experience. So we can work all that in to
mm,
the questions and how we want the answers presented to us.
yeah,
So something as simple as, just take the driving license, for example.
yeah,
Traditionally, we were asking the candidates yes or no on the application form, do they have a driving license? If they answered yes, we didn't actually ask for that license until they were being onboarded.
yeah,
So after the interview, after they've been called from panel, whereas now we can actually ask them to upload a copy of their license
yeah,
to their application form.
Yeah.
And that might, it sounds like a simple, 101 thing, but it just makes such a difference.
Yeah.
Like we had somebody recently who uploaded a learner permit. So obviously they're disqualified on that front, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
queried it saying, I actually uploaded a picture of my license, but
Yeah.
we were able to take it and send it back to them in the email saying, this is what you uploaded. It's a learner
Yeah.
permit. You're not qualified.
Yes.
No, we were much more friendly and much more compassionate than
Yes.
that answer. But so yeah, we customize the application form based on the vacancy
Yes.
needs. You can set your open and close dates,
Mm.
your deadlines, etc. We then all our vacancies get advertised on our own website,
Yeah.
but when somebody clicks on the application link on our website, it brings them straight to the submit form.
Yeah.
And on the submit form, actually, I might as well just give you a look because
Yeah.
again,
Thanks, Dave.
it can get information heavy. So
So yeah, so each vacancy would have its own unique link URL that you can direct them to. And even something you've touched on, the unique vacancy application forms that you're creating, you can save as templates. So you're not having to
yeah,
start from scratch every time. You can copy and reuse, for example.
exactly.
That's great.
So
Thanks,
this is the
Dave.
landing page that the candidates are sent to. You can
Yeah.
customize the color scheme, the layout, the crest,
Yeah.
the logo, the background picture, etc. Um, Now, this is what I see because I'm a team leader,
Yes.
obviously, but the candidates currently would see this executive librarian and the
Yeah.
technician's role at the end here. Um, and then they can click into that and apply, etc. Right? What we see is a dashboard like this, where you can go to your vacancies, you can go directly to your applications. For example, the exec librarian is open currently,
Mm.
so I can see we've got one complete application and 18 at draft.
Yes.
Um,
And those drafts, as you say, you can go in and look what have they
you can
completed so
go in and look
far.
at
Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
everything. It's all available.
You get a percentage up there on the left-hand side for
Yeah.
each one. Um, I'll just show you one of the, because everybody in every council will be aware of the changed engineering quals this year. So we put together
Yeah.
an engineering application form template on that basis.
Nice.
So just very quickly now, as you can
Yeah.
see, we worked into it. We were able to put these statements saying that, look, you have to show that you're eligible for the role.
Yeah.
So we're asking them to upload a picture or a scan of their qualifications,
Gotcha.
to provide any other additional qualification to prove that their
Yes.
chart or their qualification is chartered by Engineers Ireland, any other relevant documents. And any uploads like this, you can actually specify what file types you want to
Yes.
refine it to. So if you
Yes.
just want PDF, you can set it like that.
Yeah. No
Um,
screenshots of something.
correct.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
correct. So
That's great.
relevant institutions, relevant to engineering. You can set all these questions as required
Yes.
questions.
Yeah.
So, in other words, like every other form we all fill in, you're not allowed to submit the form until you've put an answer into these
Yeah.
fields. There's a table for their qualifications.
Mm.
Where am I? So, as you're all aware, the engineering posts require a certain third level qualification. So, we've put the first line of the table as required answers.
Yeah. There has to be
Simple
something
as
in
that.
there. Yeah.
So you can go down to that level of detail. So
Mm.
you can specify in each cell exactly what you need, whether it's text, whether it's a number. There are a number of options there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the user input type, you've all this multiple choice, multiple select, you put in a date. So again, you're
Very
harnessing
detailed.
the information the way you want to see it when the
Yeah.
competition closes, so that when you run that report, the information that comes back, the data that comes back
Yeah.
is uniform. It's totally workable to what you need from it. And
Mm.
you can, again, harness it to your own needs, or
Yeah.
depending on the team member, what they need it for, or the stage in the process that you need it for.
That's something I always say to clients. The reporting really, it's very granular. It can be as much or as little as you need. And it really comes down to who is the report for and what is it they need to see.
Yeah.
And you can pick, I suppose, any information they give you on the system, you can pull into a report, basically. So yeah, so at this stage, what I'd like to do is bring in Sarah, because I know we
Sure.
have a mock-up as well. And Sarah, I'll ask you a couple of questions. I won't put you on the hot seat too much, but I'll give Dave a break. So thank you so much, Dave. I'll probably bounce back to you again in a bit. Thank you. So in terms of, have I got Sarah? A second now. Hello, my lovely Sarah. So again, a lot of the attendees today, I'm sure, have spoken to you or emailed with you. So they're finally getting to meet you now face to face, so to speak. So Dave touched on an awful lot of the use cases for the HR and the recruitment teams here. I know I have a dummy domain set up where we can maybe play around a little bit. Now, as I said, we'll keep it more discussion. So this isn't going to go straight into a demo or anything like that as such, but just we can definitely dip into the kind of reporting that we've touched on now with Dave and how easy it is to filter, review, assign to different team members or panelists, your review panel, for example, and how people can. And again, Dave, we didn't even get into scoring, and how you do review and evaluate these applications. So maybe before you share your screen, Sarah, in a bit, if you want to talk us through your perspective. You work with so many different councils and organizations. What typical triggers the decision to move away from the email and the paper base? So when you have a new client and you see, I know because this happens, their eyes kind of go open, and it's a real game changer once they start using the system. But what are you finding initially with new HR and recruitment in particular that start using the platform?
Definitely. So I think the main thing is that everything is centralized in one place. So it's really easy for you and the teams to, find the information that you need, attach information to particular applications, and also the communications you have with candidates are centralized too. So when you email a candidate, that through the system, that message is attached to their particular application. So it's really easy to find the back and forth that you and your team are having
Mm,
with the candidates. So, if somebody happens to be out of office, for example, one of your team members, if a candidate messages you through the system, another team member can pick that up really
yeah.
easily and figure out what was the most recent communication. Um, Another thing as well is that multi-phase piece that we spoke about earlier, being able to customize contracting, being able to customize letters of offer, things like that, and move
Mm,
candidates through um, a phased approach as well is really advantageous.
mm,
Um, and again, everything is kept together. So if
yeah.
you place somebody from the application phase to a letter of offer or to a contract, it's all kept together in a linear fashion, so you can actually toggle between all of the different phases.
Mm,
So yeah, I think it can be very daunting to move from a paper-based
yeah.
process, but once I suppose we demonstrate value of the system to
Yeah.
you and you see the advantages of it,
Yeah.
it can really, you'll wonder how you ever did your recruitment process
Yes.
beforehand.
Yeah, I know. And it's just the time that you're getting back. Again, it
Yeah.
simplifies what it can, it automates what it can. So you can kind of get on with making sure you are recruiting the right people, that you've got all the boxes are ticked, the GDPR, the compliance, everything is in play. So for
Mhm.
you starting with a brand new HR department coming on board for onboarding, what would be, I suppose, the key bits for like non-negotiables, initial setup, best practice? I call it housekeeping, right? How
Yeah.
do you get the house in order before you kind of open up the doors, and invite the applicants in? Um, yeah, I suppose just briefly, if you can just talk about different team members and then
Mhm.
just how easy it is to not just create the form, but the tagging, the filtering, and what just makes it so much easier for everybody.
Yeah, if you like, I can share my screen and take you
Yeah,
through that
that
on
would be great. Yeah, thank you, Sarah.
terms of housekeeping, it's really important to think about. I know a lot of you will be coming from a paper-based form or a PDF form that you're emailing back and forth between yourself and
Yeah.
candidates. But it's really important to think about the advantages of the system. So I like to kind of work backwards a little bit if I can. So I like to think
Yeah.
about what is the result that you need from the system? What are the reports that you need to have at the end of the day?
Mm,
And that really helps to guide how we build the form. And because once we kind of tick off those key requirement pieces and we work backwards a little bit,
mm.
um, that really guides me in how I
You
instruct you on
set it
how to
up for
build
success,
them.
basically.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
if filtering into particular folders for particular judges is something that you need, that's something that we can automate at the
Yeah.
outset.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll get my screen shared if that's all right with
Super.
you.
Yeah, and again, the redaction of information, so it could be a blind review. I don't know if there'd be a use case in HR, but just removing people's names, contact details, if that's not relevant to the reviewing process, perhaps. Yeah.
Yes, all of that can be done. Now, you run the risk with me, Dee, running into a full demo every time I have to do a print.
That's okay. I'll pull the plug, don't worry.
That's it. So let's say we'll kind of skip to the end goal, I suppose. So
Yes.
you
Yeah.
received your applications, and how do you assess them on the platform? So
Mm.
we'll pop in, and we're going to go to so this is your dashboard actually. So when you get access to the system on the version 2, this is the dashboard that you'll see. All of the incoming applications that you've received will be listed here. So your newest one will be at the top. You'll see any upcoming deadlines at a glance. You'll see latest registrations and latest positions or forms that you've created on the platform will be listed here. And you can actually very easily click into the application from here as well. So if you want to get a quick preview of it, you can. And you can see here, these are your quick access panels to access all of your forms, applications, users, team. And on the left-hand side of the screen here, I know, David, you mentioned earlier that previously the system didn't come with a handbook, but now we have a really in-depth
Yes.
center. So this has lots of documentation on lots of different features. We actually have a full breakdown of how we have documents that you can share even with your assessment team to access the system.
Yeah.
We even have documentation on how candidates access the system. So if that's something that you want to provide to them, we have all of that created already. So we'll move along and we'll go into, so you can see we've got 7 completed applications. Like you mentioned, you can group message your candidates through the system. So if you're coming up to a deadline, for example, you can send a message out to your draft applications, or if you want to set follow-ups for all of your complete applications to let them know what the assessment is looking like so far, key dates that they need to know about. You can send emails out to everybody, and you can see there's a little magic wand icon here, and you can use this to customize the emails that are going out. So of course you can pull in their first name, their last name, their email address into the message that you're sending, but you can also pull in data from their application form as well if you need to. So all of these can be fully customized, which is really nice.
Yeah. So yeah, you could pull in past employers' information, past roles, years experience, and so on. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So these are how the applications look like when you receive them. So if I go into this application here, this is all the information that's been set to display in preview. This is the actual assessment that's been taking place on this application at the moment. So you get a quick glance of where they're at in your process. And you'll see you can go in and view the application itself. So we can see all of the information that they've submitted to us. You can, of course, see what they've uploaded. And if you've added any attachments to the applications, you can actually upload supplementary attachments in here. And you'll see there's a message box here. So you can see these are all of the information, the communications from the system and from the team directly to the candidates on platform. And on the right-hand side, you can see this is how you would go about assessing them, essentially. So let's say you've received this application, you've looked through it, you can actually go into your tag section and you can actually tag them as being qualified. So you can see this one is qualified on education grounds and experience grounds.
Okay. So those are manual tags that you can apply and tick, basically, stamp them with. And then you have manual tags that, based on answers they've ticked, in a drop-down selection, for example.
So some of these will be auto tags. So, if they said, I think there's a question about where did you hear about us on social media? Instagram, for example, was automatically applied. So you can really, pre-screen your applications using the tags, but you can also manually apply them, which is really nice. Now, what you can also do with tags is, so if you've marked them qualified, you can actually have the application move into a folder automatically for assessment. So if, let's say, you wanted to create this folder here for shortlisted candidates for interview, we can move this application into this folder using the tag. So every time you assign the tag, that application will be available in that folder. And then that folder can be shared with your assessment team.
And again, the assessment team, you register them onto the platform. It's just name and email, and we can bulk up them with an Excel or add them manually. And they can be, you can set it that they get a notification every time a new application has gone into their folder. Yeah.
So if we come out to the folders here, I'll give you a quick preview of how it looks to an assessor when they receive it. Now, I still have my full admin privileges on here, so I'll tell you what they don't see and what they do see.
Yes.
So you can see here, you can share the folder with any of your assessors. So that will be the first step. So you'll add them through your team section to give them access to the platform, and then you will share the folder with them. So you'll get this available users list. You will choose them from the list, and the system will email them to tell them that they've been shared to a folder. And you can see we can switch on our notification.
Yes.
And we can choose what they can and can't do as well within the folder. So if we want them to be able to score, and we want them to comment, but we don't want them to do anything else. So we can switch off all of the other options and save.
Very good.
And then in the folder, they will see all of the applications that have been shared with them, nothing else. So they don't have any of the admin privileges to see, let's say, your dashboard, your team section. They only see the folders that are relevant to them. They can go in and view the application, of course, and they can see everything kind of like how you see it. Now, they don't see the overall scoring. That is admin use only. And they can, of course, add their scores. So you can see it's just a sliding bar and automatically save once they've...
And they can add notes as well.
Of course, they can add notes.
Yeah. So the tooltip in there. And you can make those notes required or not.
You can.
It's useful, though, to have put the scoring in context. I think it's useful to have something in there. Okay, so before, because I'm conscious of the time and I do want to move on, hopefully, to some nice Q&A, we may need to jump back in here. Can we go to reporting? And let's have a look at reports and maybe have a little play in there.
So the first thing I'll do, I'll move back into the complete applications, because there's some nice filtering that we can do in here.
Yes.
There's this lovely filter section. You can search for, languages they're using. Maybe that's something that we haven't touched on yet. You can arrange based on tags. So if you wanted to search for all of your qualified applications, for example, you can filter for those. And you can actually go in and retroactively apply a tag to the result set. So that's something that you can do using this section. But of course, reporting is super important to the system. So this section here will give you your overall reports for the entire platform. So you'll get information like your registration growth, registration breakdown, and you can also get individual reports per form. So if we pop into...
if you go... up the top, if you go to where it says custom newest, it should hopefully pop up. There we go. Yeah.
So you can see I can go into the summary here, and this will allow me to create CSV downloads of the data that we've received. So we can choose which data we want to have included in this report. So we can include things like the score bars, the application ID, application questions. We can select all and deselect all if we wish. And we can even include, if you're using an office use only, you can pull in your office use only forms too. And you can see I can generate the report to preview it, and each column... Sorry, mate.
Oh, I know, a score bar over at the side.
But you can see each column will be an attribute. Each row will be an application on your platform. You can export this. You can filter for this. But what's really useful is your application breakdown section. So this, I call this, you're running into a meeting, you need a visual really quick. How can I get that? So this first report will give you applications by status. And of course, you can apply tags to these. But you can get question breakdown. So the first one here is based on our location question. So it's a mapping question of where each of our candidates are located. And as we zoom in, you can see it's tied into a Google Maps API. And if I click on the little tag here, it will take us to the particular application. So if I want to see Owen Smith's application, I can click on it, and you can see I can go over the application. So if someone falls out of your administrative area, for example, you can find them very easily. Within the question breakdowns, then I can actually break it down into multiple choice, multiple select Yes, no questions. So you can see we can get a pie chart based on the local authority or local assembly. We can get information from tables as well. So if you're asking multiple choice questions within tables,
Yes.
you can get that as well. So you can see these are really handy to have. You can apply your tags to these. You can change your stats on these. And of course, you can change these to bar charts as well if you think the data is better represented in a bar chart. And you can export these from the system, most importantly, so you can share
Those
them.
PDFs.
Exactly.
Yes. Very good. And just because we've mentioned it once or twice now, if we go back out, Sarah, if you don't mind, going back to the main as an applicant on the front end, and just if somebody wanted to apply Osgrailga, for example, just how easy it is to slip into that.
Lovely. So you can see here, I can go to my application form here. So this is, let's say, the landing page. So this would be your description section, everything that the candidate needs to know in advance of applying. And up at the top, you'll see there's a selection up here for English, and I can switch this into Gaeilge. And you can see everything is automatically translated into Gaeilge. Now, the system will automatically translate your input for you, but you can change it. So if the output that's given you, you can go in and make changes to it. And you can see I can go in and apply, and all of my questions will appear to me in Gaeilge.
Yeah, that's automatic. So this again means you can create your initial form in English, and then you don't have to, because I know now, especially here in Ireland, generally there's the English and or Irish form, and it automatically generates. So yes, we're using AI translation, but it's heavily, how can I put it? I've gone blank now. What is it? It's heavily kind of overseen by us, isn't it? Yeah.
Context-based translations. So it's not like a Google Translate where it's going to take input and give you kind of a crazy,
skewed,
non-contextual translation. It will customize it to the actual questions that you're asking, which is really nice. So you can see here, I've changed it back to the English version. I'm going to start a new application, and you can see this should all be in English then because I'm using the English version. So you can see here.
So yeah, I think that's the main point, is to really stress, look, this is not Google Translate. This is far beyond this. So you have that kind of reassurance as well. And we've got many clients already using that very successfully within the various government departments even. Who are all very happy.
I can show you really quickly, like a question, for example. So if I wanted to add a new question to my form, so I can do a yes/no question, and I can say, are you happy to be contacted in the future? And save that question. So it's just a basic yes/no question.
Yes.
If I go in and edit that, you can see these are the languages that I've enabled. And if I want to translate that, all I do is click the translate button here, and it will automatically provide us with the translation for that option. And you can save that then.
Yeah.
So it's
and
really
again, it's very easy. And again, it can be set up for pretty much any language, really, isn't it? But I know we're focused on Gaeilge. Okay, so what I'd love to do is open up any questions any of our attendees have at the minute. And thank you for, oh, hello. I'm just going to check down here. So forgive me, Q&A. I've got 2 questions in here. Just going to open it up. Here we go. So, hi, Rachel. Do Cork City use a Submit system for shortlisting? And if so, how do they do this? What is their process? So, again, I'm not too familiar with Cork City. Dave, I'll allow you answer this, but Sarah, you may certainly know of some other councils that are doing the shortlisting on the system. And then if I can just touch on the other question that's come in from Elaine, just a quick question. Why does Cork City not utilise Submit once the deadline is passed and the applications are submitted? How do they screen, assess and invite decline? So yeah, you can do that on the platform as well. But Dave, if I go to you first, maybe for the first question, and then I know, Sarah, if you could answer the second question from Elaine. I don't know if you can see them.
No.
No? Okay. So Dave, for you, first of all,
yeah, I might have given the wrong information earlier on there. We actually do use it after the competition closes. I was thinking of when the results are sent out. 2 different things. So we're still trying to bring the team and more importantly the management around to the scoring system that Submit has.
Yes.
I think because we've been using external Excel sheets to give to interview boards or to shortlisting boards to
Okay.
score, they return those, they're signed by DocuSign and they're saved in the folder for that particular competition then. So I think for audit purposes more than anything else, they just want that chain of information to be unchanged right now. But we're working on it, and we do recognize
Yeah.
that the scoring system that you can customize and use quite effectively for each application. So when the competition closes and we've confirmed who our board members are going to be, as Sarah was showing there, we set them up. They get a link, they have to set up a password, and then we share the folder with them. They only see what we put in the folder.
Yeah.
Along with the applications, we can attach things like job specs, shortlisting sheets, notes sheets, whatever documentation you use for your interviewing process. You can have it in the folder as well, which keeps everything in the one place. And they have to log in, they have to put in their password to submit in order to access all that information. So from a data protection
Yeah.
perspective, it's extremely safe and much safer than sending email attachments, etc. Now, we do come up against the odd board member who might be, let's say, advancing in years. They might have, former staff and a few IT difficulties, and they had to kind of walk through the process. But more often than not, when they see the advantages and the ease of it,
Yes.
they're very open to it. So that's what we use it like after the competition closes for, to share the applications with the board members or the director or whoever else you want to set up on
Yeah.
the system. And yeah, so as I alluded to on my email to you during the week there, our next kind of step is to move to the next phase, which is sending out all the comms via Submit for like interview invites, interview results. Now,
Yeah.
there's a few of our team members here who are doing that already.
Yes. Yes.
But just there's some legacy issues with some of the team, and we're still we're half and half. Put it that way to you.
So it's
But
just a
yeah,
bit more training maybe and support from the likes of Sarah, because I think Kilkenny, Sarah, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think Kilkenny are doing that, Dave, what you've just mentioned. I think they've been doing that for a while now, but they've been with us for quite a while. So Sarah, if I can come to you for Elaine's question, in terms of past the deadline and applications, how would you screen, assess, invite, decline? And another question has come in from Jackie in relation to handling the award and signing of contracts, which I know you touched on. Can you talk about that just a little bit? Because they all kind of ties in nicely.
Exactly. So I'll bring back my screen
Yeah.
share. Sorry. So you can see here, this particular form is set up so that it has multi-phases set up on it. So essentially, you can see I can move to my shortlisted phase here, and this can be linked. Now, I don't have any questions in here yet, but we can draft any of the questions that we want in this shortlisted phase. But even if we wanted to have, let's say, a contract appear in here or
Yes.
that they sign off, we can go in here and we can create an authenticated signature question. So this works through two-step verification. So only so the candidate can fill in their name. It will send them an email with the link that they need to click on to verify the signature.
Yes.
And we can say, please sign here.
Yeah.
We can be very basic.
Yeah.
And you can see I can go in and edit this, and I can add a description section in here if I wish. But I can actually include information from the original application in this. So not only can I pull in the first name, last name, like I mentioned earlier, we can pull in application questions that they've answered to customize this information. If you were using your office use only form, and I think this will be really useful for like interviewing and things like that, you could create questions that maybe you need to ask as part of your interview. I'll switch on office use only on this one really quickly. I'm going rogue.
No, you're fine. I think I have an office use set up for phase 1 here for the application stage. I have something in there, but
so you can use this almost like a note-taking section. So you could have ask yourself. So these are answers that you're giving about individual applications. So you could ask your question in here, tell. So these are going to be questions that you're pitching to your candidates on the interview. And you'll be able to use this then to note take. So let's say if while you're interviewing the candidate, you may have their application only open, and you can go into office use only and fill this out at the same time.
Yes. And you could even have, score bars and comments or a checklist even, and
Yeah.
tick the boxes. So just as you're doing this, Ursula came in with a question, can the external board members access the application forms in the system? Yes, exactly. This is it. And you control what they see and what they can and cannot do. But when they log in, they'd have their own unique login, their own password. And like Sarah showed, they wouldn't have all of the editing access that Sarah would have or Dave as a team leader.
Mm.
So Sarah, I'll stick with you for a second. So we've got David, who's asked about GDPR, right? Where is the information held? Who has access? Security measures in place. So I know it's the AWS server. We're
Yeah.
based in Europe.
Yes, so we use a European-based AWS server. So all of the data is held
Yeah.
securely in that. We also provide you with because you yourselves will be your data controllers. So we provide you with full privacy dashboard here. So that you can pop in, you can delete data in accordance with your own data retention timelines. So you can say, after this particular date, I want to delete all of my applications. You can do that by tag as well if you wish. And you can also delete inactive registered users on your platform too. And it also allows you to provide information like your privacy statements, you can identify the types of data that you're collecting and things like that. So we do have a very robust privacy section on the platform for you to be able to make sure that you're in adherence to GDPR. We are fully compliant and we provide you with all the tools that you need.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so from Caroline, okay, so we currently use an online system. How would we move from one system to another? Would we have to finalize all competitions in the current system first? So I know what I'd answer this. Sarah, what would you say?
So not necessarily. So you could start with one competition if you want. So it's not a case where you need to put everything onto Submit.com straight away. Like David had with Cork City, you could have a very phased rollout. So they had started with the firefighter role to begin with. So you could start with one form and then eventually move everything over to the existing Submit.com system. So yeah, you can definitely do it in a phased basis.
But the other side of that, we've had a client recently that and it wasn't HR related, it was a different program, but they had their, let's say, shortlisted candidates that would technically be like at a phase 2. They've been approved, let's say. For this next round of their workflow, I think you know who I'm talking about, but they've literally uploaded an Excel sheet with their approved applicants and all of their information. And we've uploaded that onto the system. So the next step they're doing with Submit, they haven't continued with the existing system. So it is possible, but again, it depends on ease of use for you guys. But the system can kind of do it either or really, whatever makes most sense. Okay, all good questions. So Dave, I might send this one to you. Give Sarah a break for a second. So Rachel's asking, do you shortlist amongst the team first before sending for the interview board? And if so, do they use tags to do this? Did that make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of it's dependent on the needs of the competition and the quals that are individuals of that competition. So again, I'm a stickler for engineering posts because they're the most complicated to actually qualify. So what we're doing at the moment is HR will initially screen the applications to assess whether or not they meet the minimum requirements from an educational perspective. If they do, we tag them as qualified education, as Sarah was showing there earlier, and then that auto adds them to the board folder. And then we share that folder with the board, who will then take the applications and they will shortlist them on the basis of their experience and see do they meet the minimum experience or level of experience. So it's vacancy dependent. You can set it up in a way that works for you, and what that vacancy requires, or what the hiring manager or the head of department wants. If they're looking for specific something in a profile, you can tag it that way. You can put notes on the applications. You can set as well whether the board members see or don't see the tags and notes, or whether they can actually edit those tags and notes themselves. But just one thing to be careful of when you're doing that is that it's quite easy to make the mistake of having the candidate see it as well. So you can set the view to team only, or external team, or candidate and external team. So you don't want candidate in there anywhere. just in case.
Yeah.
You don't want,
Don't tick that box.
don't
It's a
tick
bit
that
like,
box.
yeah,
No,
yeah. It's like, don't press the red button, Dougal, a little bit.
no,
Yeah.
no, no, because as we
Um,
all know, no good deed goes unpunished.
oh, I know he'd be caught rotten. Listen, I have, one second now. Oh, here we go. Right. So I have one question that's more so to do with integration and our API, right? But before I get there, Patricia's asking if is it possible to show on screen the scoring system used for the shortlisting process?
Mhm.
So I
So,
hope my mock-up is okay for that. I hope I've set it up.
of course, and just so that you know, it can be fully customized to your own process. So the
Yeah.
scorecards that I'm showing, they can be fully customized to whatever you need. They can be customized to whatever rubric that you use. So if on the application phase, for example, I want to assess one of the applications that I've received, I might pop down to one of these other ones. I
Yeah.
know scores on the wall, which is not a bad thing.
I'm sorry. I know.
I'll pop into this one here again, and you can see so this will work both for your assessment team and for your internal team. So your internal team and the assessment team can actually engage with the score bars if they wish.
Mm.
So you can see the score bars are broken into different shortlisting scores and interview panel scores. So they can click and drag the score bar to wherever it needs to be in the drop down. And you can see I can update that anytime I need to. If I come back to the application form, or sorry, I'm skipping ahead, but you can see these all automatically update up here at the top. So you'll get the overall, and then if I click into overall average score, you can see the breakdown of who has scored what their average is.
Nice.
So it just gives you a very nice oversight on what's happening in score bars. These can all be reported on as well. So you can get a full, not only in your summary report, in your, we'll filter in this one. So not only can you pull that information out in your summary report, you can also get a score specific report generated as well. So this will give you your each individual score bar, who scored it, who the applicant was, who the evaluator was, when it was scored as well. So everything comes through together. So you can export this out of the system. And even when you're assessing your applications afterwards as well, using your filters over here on the right, you can arrange these by their score. So if I go to score average descending, it will give us our top scorer at the very beginning.
Yes. Very good. Okay. So question there then. Okay, we'll get you printing. So they can be downloaded if somebody wants a hard copy. And do we know how, because Dave, I haven't done this myself, so maybe you know best, but if you are downloading, I know you can download each application form. And if it's a case for printing, you download it as a PDF. The attachments and the downloads, they can be downloaded as well. The whole thing is a zip. Or if 100 people apply for that engineering job, you can download all of them as well. But for printing, seems to be a very specific question. Can all applications be selected for printing, but in such a way that there is a break between each application? I don't, yeah? Okay, I wasn't sure.
So essentially, each application will have its own download button. So they'll all be saved under their own headings. So you could do the full zip, which will give you a zip file of the application plus its
Each
attachment.
independent.
And then this one then will just be the PDF of that particular application. So yeah, there will be a break, or you can do the full bulk Excel download if you need to.
Okay. Now, another question from Jacqueline. How does Submit cope with a large volume of applications shortly before the deadline? Because you're guaranteed if the deadline is 5 o'clock on a Friday, it's 5 to 5 and it's all kicking off. So both of you are smiling. I'm sure you both have experience either from support and from Dave. Who wants to go first? Sarah, officially, I suppose, with the system, what have we in place? Because I do believe there's some new functionality that we have added in terms of a large bulk of applicants all in one go.
Yeah, so I suppose the system is designed to handle a large volume of applications. We deal with a lot of even, housing forms and things like that are launched. So if you can imagine the amount of applications, of housing applications that come in really short periods of time, we can handle that. So yes, I would be confident that the system is very capable of handling a large
Yeah.
volume of applications before a deadline. We see tens of thousands of applications come in a day in some use cases. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And for me to really dumb it down, how I understood it and how I break is kind of like, Taylor Swift tickets on
Oh,
Ticketmaster. You go into
yeah.
that waiting room. Yeah, I'm sure there's a much more technical term for it, but if it
If,
is a case that it's, a
if
massive download, yeah.
Yeah, if it reaches a particular threshold, it will move to a queuing system.
Yes.
But that's only, I'd have to get the
That's
specific queue, but
extreme. That's,
it's
yeah,
an
that,
extreme amount, yeah, in a short period of time.
yeah, we can do that. And Dave, do you find that it's deadline day and suddenly you've an influx of applications?
That's natural anyway. I
Yeah.
think the 11th hour syndrome is across the board, no matter what type of application you're doing. We've never had an issue. Um, Never had a serious issue, put it that way to you.
Yes.
Recently, because it's good to give the, I suppose, the bumps in the road as well as all the successes as well,
Yes,
to
of
give people
course.
a wider overview. So recently we had a large competition for administrative officer, and quite a high profile, a lot of eyes on it, etc. Um, and we were getting contacts from a lot of applicants saying that um, they were unable to verify their signature, or they were getting a notification when they went into. Okay, I'm a stickler for starting a story in the middle. When somebody submits an application, they then receive an email.
Yeah.
They click on the email, which then verifies that they are who they say they are, and it verifies their signature. So you might have seen on some of the applications that Sarah showed us there, it says not verified yet. You can send them a verification notification.
Yes.
So what was happening is they were going in, they were clicking on the verification email, but they were getting a notification saying signature not verified.
Hmm.
So you can imagine the panic that was
Yes.
causing at 5 minutes to
Yes.
4 o'clock on the
Oh,
final Friday of applications. So the phones were hopping, the emails were hopping. Um, in fairness, I have to hand it to, I think it's Eric on the
yeah.
tech team. Very lightning fast to respond. Had the issue cleared up near more or less straight away, but was able to tell me straight away the signatures are there. There's no issue. You can tell the candidates not to worry. So
Excellent.
just to have that peace of mind for us that we could take that then and say, look, guys, whoever comes knocking on the door, just
Yeah.
tell them it's okay. We have their application. Their
Yeah.
signature is fine. They don't need to worry. So again, that was the positive and negative, and in that particular case, one cancelled
Yeah.
out another. There was one other case last year. We were doing senior staff officer, and candidates. No, it wasn't a kind of an 11th hour issue. It was really at the beginning of the process where
Yeah.
I think whatever algorithm, whatever systems were built in on the back end to save the text as it goes along,
Yes.
it was trying too hard. So as people were typing their competencies,
Yeah.
suddenly half what they type would disappear, or they'd click save
Okay.
and the whole box would disappear. So you can imagine they were onto us up to 90.
Yes.
But again, fixed
Yeah.
within an hour by
Yeah.
Submit. So yeah, that's
A rare bug, but yeah,
yeah,
and again,
absolutely.
yeah, we're all in house, you see. So from the developers to support to marketing and sales, we're all working here in Cork. We're all talking to each other, so we're on constantly. So I think it's great. Any shared experiences that we
Hmm.
have from any of our departments, we share the information so that we're
Hmm.
fully kind of aware and ready for it if it was to happen again. Thank you, Dave. Sarah, there's been a question about integration, and I know a bit about the API. So I know we have Open REST API, which means we can export anything. So any reports, any information that's collected on the platform, we can push out to another system if
Mhm.
required. Can you give any more information based on my understanding of it?
Yeah, so I suppose if this is the external system that you need to export into can accept API keys, we do
Yes.
provide those keys to you on your platform that you can use. The system as well includes steps. So if your tech team needs to set that up, it includes all of the code that they'll need to implement that. So yes, it can be integrated into other systems if it accepts
Yeah.
the API keys.
So the keys have to marry. They have to be compatible. So it depends on the system. So we need to, so if anybody has something specific, absolutely message me afterwards and we can look in a bit more detail and give you an answer there. Okay, so we've got Louise and we're coming up on time. So we're good for time, but certainly I know Sarah may need to drop off so very soon. I'm sorry. But just Louise is going back to printing. So Dave, you may even pick this up. A lot of our board members prefer hard copy applications. If we have a large number of applications, say up to 50, right? And there are 3 board members. Can I easily print all applications or do I have to print one by one at a time, which I get can be pretty time consuming. We currently use a system that only allows one by one application to be printed. Yeah, which takes a lot of time to organize. So Dave, if you're still there, I hope you are.
Yeah,
realistically, are you printing things out for boards or Sarah, if you've got experience?
yeah, that's our worst nightmare when the boards want everything printed.
And it can happen, yeah.
Sarah might correct me on this, but is there a way, Sarah, to bulk print all tagged applications? If there is, I want to know about it.
I'll have to check. I know that I think there is a system to allow for bulk media download, but I'll have to check that that includes applications as well. But that's something that we would switch on in a as needed basis. So it's something that you need to request from the team, but let me double check that and just be sure what's included in that.
Yeah, I think it would be a very useful feature to have because some of the boards, as I said, they're pretty old fashioned and they want everything hard copy.
Yeah,
let me check and I'll be back to you.
Yeah, so Louise, and after this recording, I'm going to be sharing it with everybody. So I'll share some notes and I'll print out some of these questions and put some answers in there as well, just so you've got everything in the one place. I hope that's useful. But yeah, not alone. People do like the hard copies. But the one thing I'll say on the other side of that, the platform's completely mobile friendly. So if somebody sees, you know, the post or they're on their website or on LinkedIn and they click on the link to apply, they can start applying straight away. But likewise, when you become very savvy and used to the platform, you can log in. A board member could log in on their phone and do the commenting and scoring. So yeah, if you're very mobile friendly, you can absolutely do that as well. I think I've touched on almost all the questions. Dave, apologies. There's a question here for another David. Do Cork use core HR system? And if so, does the information have to be manually keyed into it? I'm not familiar with that myself, so apologies.
David, do you mean after the competition closes in terms of the successful candidates, etc.?
So I'll see if he responds here now.
As we call it, the old core.
No reply here as yet, but I can get confirmation on that. And again, I'll include it with the recording afterwards. If Dave
there's a shorter answer really is currently we use Submit independently. We haven't got it plugged into anything else or vice versa, but it would be great going forward if we could perhaps have some level of integration with our core system. But, you know, as with all councils, there's legacy issues. We still keep our personnel files on paper. Okay. So we go so far digitally and then everything is printed and kept in a paper folder in a drawer. So that's a bit of a bigger mountain to climb. I'm guessing that's what David is alluding to there.
Maybe, and he's stuck on mute, so I'm going to see if I can unmute you, David. So David's saying before, during, and after. So yeah, he's saying kind of across the board there. And as well, so Dave, I'm going to try and unmute you in just a sec, but in the meantime, I've got Elaine. Is there a way to stop a candidate from progressing through the form if they've not answered or uploaded the required information? So I know there can be auto reject answers out there as well. So yeah, go ahead, Dave, if you want to touch on this, and I'll try and fix David with this.
Yeah, we generally take the more compassionate approach and let them down gently. But the facility is there to auto reject. Or what I like to do is, again, take the driving license example. If they don't have a driving license, if they click no, I've got a statement pop up on the screen immediately saying, please be advised, this is a minimum requirement for this post. Should you wish to continue, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
So I mean, they can still go ahead and submit the form, and a lot of them do. But you can, again, it's customizable as to how strong you want to come on, and how automated you want the process to be. So I mean, if they answer yes to a certain answer, you can also set it to auto tag them as qualified.
Yeah.
But again, you kind of want eyes on all of that stuff from a HR perspective, just to be sure that they are qualified, that they're not saying who they're not, or vice versa. So yeah, it's very customizable, depends on your needs.
Okay. David, I have
Hi,
you unmuted. I hope that works
hi,
great.
can you hear me?
I can, loud and
Perfect.
Oh,
clear.
great. Thanks, Steve. And thanks, Dave. Yeah, so we use the core HR recruitment module to log all incoming applications, and then that kind of feeds through to personnel when we're onboarding. And so I'm just wondering then if you're like, certainly, I think Submit would really help streamline kind of our application process and the management of applications and onboarding, but actually getting the information from Submit into Core. I'm just wondering if that's not automated, or do you key, like, do you have to manually key information then
Is that the core,
from
David? That's based on Windows 95, that really
Core
old one.
HR? Well, we're on people management. Well, we're actually on the recruitment module in back office at the moment, but we're using people management, which is the portal version.
Okay, I'm guessing it's kind of individual to what each council is using. So because we use core HR, it's a really old module for logging times, etc., and annual
Yeah.
leaves and that kind of thing. But then we have people XD.
Yeah, so the recruitment module, I think that the Access Group have developed a web version of the recruitment module, but we're not using it. So we're still using the old back office, the Oracle
Gotcha.
kind of version of the
Oracle,
recruitment
that was the word I
module.
was looking for. Yeah.
Whereas we're now on people management in XD for kind of the personnel end of things. So I would imagine we'll be moving to the XD version of recruitment. So I'm just wondering, like, how, like, if again, I'd asked if it could be integrated, which they said, yeah, you can provide stuff to be uploaded if our systems accept it, which I'd have to go to the Access Group to find out. But in the interim, then I'm wondering, right, if we get an online process for incoming application forms, are we just going to have to basically manually key it into Core so that we can get the information across into personnel so that we can onboard people and set them up from payroll perspective and all of that? So our Core manually keying information into Core when it comes to the onboarding phase, I suppose, is the short question.
Yeah, short answer, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. No worries at all. Thank you. And I'm very conscious of time. And I do appreciate there's more questions coming in. What I will do is I will include all of the questions with answers with the recording afterwards. But just to end on, Sarah, how many local authorities are using us in general? There's one question popped in there by Sandra at the end. If you had to pick a number off the top of your head, I'm in the 20s, but what would you say?
Yeah, so I suppose in terms of local authorities, yeah, I think it's 20 plus local authorities are using it. In terms of HR, I don't have the exact number either. I'm thinking
It's about 5, I think.
5 or 6, yeah.
Cork City, we've Roscommon that are new, Donegal are new. So there's quite a few there as well. So again, hence the reason for this call. So thank you so much, Sarah and Dave and David and everybody for attending and for these excellent questions. So this will give us an awful lot of information we can share with you that will be relevant to everybody who's attended today. So again, yeah, the reason for me putting this together was really to speak directly to the HR and recruitment teams that aren't currently using Submit.com, that may be using another system, maybe an oldie but a goodie, but maybe not the greatest in terms of what they could be doing, or paper-based. And there's still a lot of, the misconception is we are digital. A PDF on the website really isn't digital because it has to be downloaded, filled in, and emailed. So it's still not ideal. And look, it's tried and tested at this stage, the Submit.com platform, as Dave, I'm sure others can attest to. And it just makes sense. So I thought I'd reach out locally. We're an Irish-based company. We're doing an awful lot of business with local authorities, councils, and semi-state bodies here in Ireland already and the UK. So yeah, I just thought it would make sense to bring us all together, have a really good conversation, which I think we have. So thank you, Sarah and Dave, so much for contributing today. I'm Dee. Certainly, you'll have my email afterwards. If you want to get in touch, if you want a more customized and more specific call, demo, whatever you require, any other questions that pop up in the meantime, don't hesitate to reach out. And I look
Just
forward
before
to
I pop
speaking
off
to
there,
you.
Dee, sorry for
Yes,
interrupting
Dave.
it because I have to go to a meeting. If
Yeah.
anybody wants to contact me directly, feel free to pass on my details because
Thank
I know
you so
we had to
much.
cut some questions short there today.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, I
Thanks, everyone.
appreciate it. Thank you. All right, I'll leave everybody go. Have a great week. Enjoy Friday tomorrow and the weekend coming up. And I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.